our side, we will be implementing 25% tariffs on U.S. products. Canadians are perplexed, I think disappointed. We view ourselves as your neighbor, your closest friend, your ally.
Canada and Mexico are upping the ante as they counter President Trump's new tariffs with tariffs of their own. China is threatening the U.S. with retaliatory measures as well. For more on this, let's bring in Fox Business contributor Jonathan Hoenig. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. And you see Canada and Mexico saying dollar for dollar, we're going to counter you. Where do you come down in the debate over whether or not the president's tariffs now enacted are going to be successful or whether they're going to make things worse? The Wall Street Journal just eviscerating this decision, saying it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, well, they aren't just threats anymore, Griff, right? This isn't just a negotiating tool. These are now in place. And the president has some really ambitious goals. He's talked about, curtailing illegal immigration, curtailing drugs. The fact is that tariffs are taxes. You can't evade that. They're taxes paid by American importers. One of the effects that we know is that it will raise costs for American consumers. Yale had a number out over the weekend estimating at about a loss of about $1,200 in household income per year because of the tariffs. And even Trump himself, Griff, is admitting that Americans will feel some pain. And there's historical examples of this. In the first term, for example, the tariffs on washing machines raised the price of washing machines about $90 a unit. So there's a lot of impacts that we're not even going to be seen. Tax Foundation is estimating about 344,000 jobs lost as a result of these tariffs. 0.4% of GDP. The fact is, Griff, that we import a lot of goods. 3/4 of all fruit is imported, and about 1 in 5 pairs of shoes. So now, lots imported and lots going to be affected.
Jonathan, you say that the president says there will be pain. Here's what he says in a Truth Social post here today, taking on the Wall Street Journal, namely saying, make your product in the USA and there are no tariffs. Why should the U.S. lose trillions of dollars in subsidizing other countries? And why should these other countries pay a small fraction of the cost of what USA citizens pay for drugs and pharmaceuticals? As an example, this will be the golden age of America. Will there be some pain? Yes, maybe, and maybe not. So maybe not. Here's my question for you, Jonathan. And I think the argument that President Trump is trying to say to critics like yourself, don't miss the forest for the trees, because his entire plan, which includes increasing energy production, deregulation for business, tax cuts, and the tariffs to balance the playing field, is going to be counterinflationary and ultimately lead in what he calls this golden age. That's his pushback. What say you?
Well, it's a brand new world. What we know, Griff, is that many Americans, many American companies are not just warning about the tariffs. I mean, whether it be the retailers, I said the shoemakers, steel workers, United Auto Workers, all warning against the tariffs, warning that there will be higher prices. What we're seeing is a bull market in lobbying. I mean, every lobbyist is now working in full bloom, looking for exemptions. So one thing we know is that the tariffs will breed more corruption, more payoffs, more payola, more chicanery. So as I said, President Trump has amazing, ambitious goals. We'd like to see them achieved, but it's unclear, at least to many economists, whether tariffs, taxes on Americans, will achieve those goals.
Let's talk about the auto. We hear a lot about the pain Americans in the short term may feel in regards to the auto industry with both Canada and Mexico. What does that look like for us in the near future and potentially over a course of months if this continues?
Well, so often auto parts, elements of them, Griff, are manufactured in Canada, manufactured in the U.S., manufactured in Mexico, then shipped from place to place. So the supply chain that powers the American economy is so multifaceted, it's so fascinating, it's so intricate that something like this, a tax on trade writ large, has such wide-ranging effects. And the famous economist Bastiat always talked about that which is seen and that which is unseen. So, this will, as I said, have such far-reaching impacts. And it's why CEOs big and small are scrambling to look at their supply chains. You might see people, let's say, move out of importing from China, but we could see, for example, imports from Vietnam pick up as well, Griff. So there's going to be a lot of supply chain rejiggering, and it's really difficult to tell what the net result result will be from these new tariffs, these new taxes. As I said, it's a brave new world. We haven't seen tariffs like this in decades in America.
Well, and what's fascinating to me, and this is really my last question for you, Jonathan, and great insight as always, but it was Trump that got rid of NAFTA, created the USMCA. If his intention now is to bring his Canadian and Mexican partners back to the table to do a different UMCA, would that not be something that he's already gained by bringing them willingly or unwillingly to that table?
Sure. I mean, sure. What would be great, what would be ideal, I think, from the market's perspective, Griff, would be to lower taxes, lower tariffs across the board. Not only Canadian tariffs, Mexican tariffs, but also American tariffs as well. Interestingly, this recent order from the president violates the order that he signed in his previous term. You said it goes against it. So, we always say that the market hates uncertainty, and we saw a massive fall off on Friday when these tariffs were announced. There's a lot of uncertainty among American manufacturers. Griff, many companies' entire business model is surrounded by importing low-cost goods. So there's a lot of scurrying, a lot of uncertainty as a result of these tariffs, and as they continue to get rolled out, and of course, as the retaliation continues to roll in, the economy is going to be roiled.
Well, you're right about one thing for sure, Jonathan. Markets don't like instability and uncertainty, and we shall see what the markets do tomorrow morning. Jonathan Hoenig, great insight as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.